is 850 acres out here, 300 acres of CRP, about 300 acres of crop ground, which is half on the ridgetop, half in the bottoms. The bottoms do flood. They did twice this year. And then there's about 250 acres of woods. It's about probably, well, I want to say at least 12 springs on the property, a few ponds out here. It's very beautiful. I don't own the property. It's owned by landowners in Chicago. They're a very great family, and they basically wanted to have an organic farm. And the fellow that was here previous to me just they never had a greenhouse. There was never an actual working house. There were never vegetables growing out here. There was a massive deer population. The fellow before me didn't believe in killing deer, so for over 10 years this property hadn't been hunted. A lot of different issues to deal with to get this farm ready. Last year we tried to go into the same accounts that we used to have in Minneapolis. It didn't work. We hadn't held on to the account strong enough. So in turn, we had a lot of vegetables and not a lot of places to sell them. Our CSA was about the same size, which it is this year, about 130 members. 140? 130? And we started farmers markets last year in September. We did the Botanic Gardens all year, and we started Green City last year. This year we're doing 4 farmers markets in Chicago, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Jay just got back from one yesterday. And our CSA, and all our CSA drops are actually at farmers markets. So we've scaled down, except for Madison, yeah. We've scaled down this year. We would have had 15 acres in production, but for the first time in 13 years, I didn't put in a winter squash crop. A lot of my fall vegetables flooded out down in the bottoms, so a lot of trying and not a lot of succeeding. So besides the vegetables, organic vegetables, we have chickens, ducks, turkeys, geese, pigs. That is a new thing for me as far as raising pigs. I lost my sow this spring. She had 12 babies, and so we're trying to figure that one out. But 8 of them survived. We've got 4 females and 4 males, which they are castrated and will be slaughtered. And when we go to the pigs, I'll talk a little bit more about the breed. But thankfully, from the help of Stephanie and Melissa, they spent 6 hours a day for a month, almost, every 4 hours, middle of the night, feeding these little baby pigs and brought them to life. So it's very impressive. We had a guy come out who helped us castrate him, and he used to raise hundreds of sows, he said, and he never had an orphan litter in his life ever survive. So. And we also do shiitake mushrooms. Last spring we spored 1,300 logs, let them lay down in what's called the primordial stage for a year, and they've been flushing. We had one flush of about 300 pounds, and this week alone I think we harvested another 100 pounds of mushrooms. We left some of them on, so when we go visit the woods you'll get to see what they look like. Otherwise we would have harvested them this morning. And also bees. Last year I got 10 beehives. Only one of them survived, which I think it had to do with me not drilling ventilation holes up at the top was the main thing, and not closing off the bottom entrance where mice came in. We would have actually had higher survival rate, but a lot of people around here lost all their hives. I know an Amish guy that lost 90 hives. And the price of bees has tripled in the last year, gone from like $36 to almost $80 for 3 pounds. So it's a new thing. Jake's not here. I have one of my interns here who's been kind of spearheading the thing. He's taken a 4-day course on it, and I've sort of just let him run with it, and he has a lot of fun with it, and they're doing real well. We also have a top bar hive here, which I'll show you guys, which is it's very interesting. It's more as a pollinator and a liver than actually an extractor, but it represents the natural comb formation that a bee would make in a tree trunk or in a crevice or in the wall of a house or something. And that was built by a friend of mine in Belmont. Builds owl houses and bird houses for me. And there's a solar dehydrator up there that he built. So basically, the year that I took off from farming, I took 2 permaculture design courses with Bill, Mark, and Wayne up at the MREA, Midwest Renewable Energy Association, and sort of inspired me. Plus, we were coming from being severely flooded. We were trying to find someplace to farm. I had a job offer out in Santa Barbara to run this farm called Fairview Gardens. I knew some farms out east that would have liked me to come out and run their CSA, and in the meantime we were petitioning Whole Foods to sponsor us. We had gotten pretty far up with the group and basically had this whole business plan where they would buy us a piece of land, we would sell our produce to them, their employees could come and use it as a retreat, and they liked the idea, but they wanted to give me a loan instead. And I just had gotten out of debt, and we were like, well, that's not really what we want. We wanted you to just give us the money, and you could put your name on it. But they liked our proposal so much that they took us to they wanted us to come to their annual board meeting in Chicago. They never had a farmer speak, and they wanted us to run our little PowerPoint and then talk about how Whole Foods had helped us. During the flood, Whole Foods sent out 2 of their stores, like 15 people, to come out and harvest. For 2 days straight. I had some potatoes and squash for free. They came and harvested them, helped me wash and packed them. And then Whole Foods bought a semi-truck full of produce from me at retail prices, not Whole Foods prices. So, that was $30,000 worth of produce that if I would have sold it to them, it probably would have only been 15 grand. Plus they sent out people to help me harvest it for them. So they had been very helpful. So we did a 15-minute spiel on how they'd helped us, and then we kind of did the quick PowerPoint of what we were offering to these board members, even though they had declined us. And there was this fellow named Jim Slama who runs familyfarm.org. It's sort of like a organic vegetable lobbyist group is the best way I can describe it. And he heard our proposal and knew this family, Ellis and Jillian Goodman, and was like, I know who you need to talk to. And we were like, we're so overwhelmed. We're like 2 hours. We're flying to Santa Barbara. We're on our way to California with options, and I don't know if we can handle another option. And so I did get the job in California. It wasn't the amount of money we would have liked, and it's expensive to live in California, so it didn't seem very feasible. And at the same time, I was down in Florida seeing my dad speak. Jay was doing yoga classes in Chicago, and decided, well, what the heck? I'm just going to call this Goodman family just randomly. She got a hold of them, which, now that we know them very well, they move around a lot. They're off in Europe, they're out in California, and the fact that she actually got a hold of them, and they were in town and were available, was miraculous. Well, she went and had dinner with them, and told them what we wanted, and that was exactly what they wanted, and she called me up, and I was like, well, we've got 1 week to decide, and we came out here for about half an hour, I think, in the dark. Before dark. Looked over the ramshackle house filled with mice and seeds and sheetrock and insulation everywhere, and said, I think it's better than working for a board of directors. And this family seems really nice. So we took this option and basically came back to that first year of just experiment. I had a massive list. Clean up this, fix this, build this, do that, and made it happen. That's kind of the short story of how we got here.